I'll introduce Kevin Foley, who heads the Des Moines Airport, which we all know we have some exciting things going on at the airport. And the construction, I know, is challenging, but the reward will be at the end when we have double the space, right? Or more? 50% more, and really encourage more flights for all of us that want to go and for people to come, which we're all looking forward to more direct flights too. So anyway, I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Mayor Bozen and City Council, just want to say thank you for all of the support, political, moral support, and financial support as we get ready to actually see construction on the terminal come out of the ground. Shortly, you'll see foundations going in, and then this summer you'll see steel actually going up. So as all of that launches, just wanted to come down and present a thank you to you, Mayor, and say thanks for all the support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what is the anticipation time frame on?
So yeah, if you've got any questions at all, but the completion time frame for the first phase is late in 2026 or early in 2027. By schedule, it should be late in 26. Hopefully they stay on schedule.
Yeah, but thank you.
Thank
you
you
for all the
very
work
much.
you've done.
You bet.
Here. Coleman. Here. Westergaard.
Here by phone.
Mandelbaum.
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
The first item is number 2, approving the agenda as presented and or as amended.
Move.
Second.
There's a motion to move, and it's been seconded. Please vote.
Yes. Westergaard is yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is the acceptance of a quitclaim deed from the City of Des Moines for 3312 8th Street. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Westergaard is yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Next item is number 4, approving issuance of 4 project-based vouchers to Libertad Des Moines to support affordable rental units at 4421 Southeast 14th Street. Board communication number 24-109. Is there a motion?
Move approval, Your Honor.
Is there any discussion? If not, please vote.
Westergaard is yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries.
Move to adjourn.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. Please vote.
Westergaard is yes.
Chris?
6 yes.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned, and we'll reconvene at 5 o'clock for our regular scheduled meeting. I'd like to call to order the Des Moines City Council meeting for March 18th, 2024. Please take the roll.
Boson,
Here.
Ross,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Westergaard,
Present by phone.
Mandelbaum. Here. Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended. And on the consent item, number 8's been withdrawn by the city manager, number 30 is withdrawn by the police department, and number 52 on the regular agenda item has been updated. That's our speaker list.
Move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Westergaard is yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Next item is approving the consent agenda, items 3 through 39. These are routine items will be enacted by one roll call vote without separation, discussion unless pursuant to council rules, council requests, and item to be removed to be considered separately. We will allow the public to speak to consent item for 3 minutes each for a total of up to 15 minutes. Please state your name and address and ward prior to providing comments. At this time, we will take a motion to approve, and we have one speaker.
You want to have her speak before I
Yes.
make the motion?
Yeah, we can have Carol Maher is the one person for item number 23, I believe.
Require on consent.
Okay.
Mayor Boson and members of City Council, my name is Carol Maher. I live in Ward 3, zip code 50312. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today regarding consent item number 23, which sets the zoning hearing for the long vacant parcel on Ingersoll, just west of 31st Street, for the construction of a new mixed-use office/residential community. The project looks to be great for the area. The developer will not be seeking any TIF or tax abatement funds. EV chargers will be provided in the parking garage along with conduit to expand the number of chargers as the demand grows. The roof will be built solar ready should their co-op holders decide to invest in this technology. The possibility of an all-electric building exists should the developer go with a 55-plus building with a 30-year amortization mortgage or a 62-plus with a 40-year AM. Financials will drive this decision, and guess what? The developer is bike-friendly and will have bike parking accommodations. This all sounds great, OPA. But as you know, curb cuts are the hill that I choose to die on and be humiliated by. So I wanted to bring this issue back to your attention now before the zoning hearing. Previous use of this parcel allowed for 2 curb cuts, way back in the days before the current Ingersoll corridor and all its fabulousness was a vision. Now, the corridor is thriving with restaurants, bars, retailers, jumping with people arriving on foot, on bike, and in car. These new residents will be right in the thick of all the great things happening here. But we should take every opportunity to close all the curb cuts we can during development. Not only do closing curb cuts make it safer for all road users, it provides more on-street parking for vehicles. It's a win for all. The owner of the current parcel directly west of this one has offered to work with the developer to move the entrance to Crescent Street to allow for both curb cuts to be closed and the traffic for the office building moved off the main street. The parking lot could then be reconfigured to allow for a more desirable design, more green space, and the closing of both cuts on Ingersoll. I'm planting this seed now 2 weeks before the zoning hearing, so you won't be surprised when I bring it up again. And hopefully you'll support the request. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, before we have a motion, Councilmember Voss is voting no on item 5.
Madam Mayor, I'll move item 3.
There's a motion to please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. We will go to our hearings, starting with number 40. On vacation of a segment of Ingersoll Avenue right-of-way adjoining 2103 Ingersoll Avenue and conveyance of an easement for bus shelter encroachment on city-owned property to Des Moines Area Regional Transit Authority for $220. A is a first consideration of ordinance above. On these items, there's a germane comments from the general public. We have 2 minutes per person to speak, up to 2 minutes on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move item 40, 40A, to 42A.
Is a motion and a second? Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 41, on vacation of a segment of Little Avenue right-of-way located between Fleur Drive and Army Post Road. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Sarah Arnold, Airport Project Engineer. It requires 6 votes. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this? Seeing no one?
Seeing none, I'll move item 41, 41A, and 41B.
There's a motion. Please second, or please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 42, on approval of entering into a waiver of distance separation easement agreement with conveying a waiver of distance separation easement to the Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority and acknowledgement by Des Moines Area Regional Transit Authority on property located at 3500. I'm sorry, I saw the dollar. Vandalia Road for $1. Small numbers.
I don't see any comments. Your Honor, I'll move item 42.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 43, on a request from 3800 to 3804 Ingersoll LLC and MGS LLC, Kimberly R. Robertson, officer, and Michael Simpson, officer, to amend the Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow comprehensive plan to revise the future land use classification from low-density residential to community mixed use, and to rezone the property located at 1205 East 33rd Street and 3304 East University Avenue from N3B Neighborhood District to Limited CX Mixed Use District to allow use of property for warehousing and other commercial uses. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is the final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by applicant and requires 6 votes. First is the parties of interest, applicant for rezoning, and those within 200 feet of the property to be rezoned will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. And second, germane comments from the general public for 2 minutes per person with up to 20 minutes maximum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion.
Westergaard will move item 43A and B.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Number 44, on a request from Max Z. Stegleiter and Tracy D. Stegleiter, owners, to amend the Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow comprehensive plan to revise the future land use classification from business park to industrial and to rezone property in the vicinity of 9500 South Ridge Boulevard from EX Mixed Use District to I2 Industrial District to allow the construction of a concrete manufacturing plant with outdoor storage. Choose one alternative below. Requires 6 votes to approve due to Planning and Zoning Commission denial. A is to deny, or B is to continue to April 1st, 2024 council meeting and direct the city manager and legal department to prepare the necessary legislation to approve. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this?
The city clerk and I did receive an email that the applicant is requesting the matter be continued to the next council meeting. So it's up to council if they want to do that or not.
I've had multiple correspondence with the owner. I've clearly stated I'm not going against the P&Z ruling. I think even without that, he needs 6 votes, even, I believe, if everyone would vote yes, including the next time for April 1st. I don't believe that will happen. I don't see any reason to keep adding more time to this. I've asked staff to work with them to find a more appropriate property, particularly not on the corridor of the main, where you're coming into the south side. So we've got properties that would be perfect for this in our city, and we're happy to find them a spot and help them. It's just not going to be there. So I'm going to move 44A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries to deny. Item 45, on approval of the 2023 U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. The council communication is number 24-105. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this item?
Move item 45.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 46, on 30th Street sidewalk from Urbandale Avenue to Euclid Avenue. Resolution approving plans, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, receive and file bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as MPS Engineers, PC, doing business as Kingston Services, PC. Amesh Shetye, President, $208,879.50. Council communication number 24-116. A is the approval of contract and bond. If anyone would like to speak to this item, it's only on the plan, specifications, form of documents, engineer's estimate, or low bidder designation, and those will be the only comments considered germane. We have 2 minutes to speak. If anyone would like to speak. Seeing no one, I will turn it over to the council.
I'd like to make just a quick comment. First off, the council, before I got here, passed the sidewalk plan. This is part of that and an important stretch. I'm really proud of this. It's in the Prospect Neighborhood Association area, and this little pocket of the city is richly diverse, and it's just a really good spot for public investment. I'm proud of that. I'd like to thank Steve and his team in engineering. Not only did they design a great project, but as part of it, the Veterans Administration, which it ends at Vets Hospital, is contributing towards it through the VA healthcare system. I think that's a really good sign about how important it is for the vets that use the hospital and the people that go to visit there. I love that. Lastly, just a personal note. This was a long time priority of Bill Gray, who served Ward 1 for a long time. And he never let this go, even when people told him he should. So congrats to Bill for never giving up on it. So I'll move 46 and 46A.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 47, amending Chapter 114 of Municipal Code regarding traffic regulation changes as follows. Council Communication Number 24-112. A is parking modifications, East Park Avenue from Southeast 21st Street to Southeast 22nd Street. B, parking modifications, Scott Avenue from Southeast 10th Street to Southeast 11th Street. C, parking modifications related to Stanton Ridge Plat 1 development. Number 1 is Southwest 23rd Street from Stanton Avenue to Emma Avenue. Number 2 is Southwest 29th Street from Stanton Avenue to Emma Avenue. Number 3 is Emma Avenue from Southwest 23rd Street to Southwest 29th Street. D is parking restrictions, Southwest 9th between Bell Avenue and Loomis Avenue. E is parking restrictions, Scott Avenue between Southeast 18th Street and the cul-de-sac to the west. F is code correction, Corning Avenue between 6th Avenue and East Dead End. G is alley loading restriction, east-west alley between East Grand Avenue, East Locust Street, East 4th Street, and East 5th Street. H is parking modifications south side of Locust between 4th Street and 5th Avenue. I is parking modifications south side of Grand Avenue between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Street. And J is corner clearance parking restrictions, 1 at 37th Street and Kingman Boulevard, and 2 at Oakland Drive and Lower Beaver Road. Is there anyone wishing to discuss or speak on this? If not, I will entertain a motion. There's a lot of
I
parking.
I just had one comment, and I think I know the answer, but I don't think it was followed. But I know I was notified by a few people on a couple of these that were never notified of any of these changes. They had to hear it from their neighbor. And so I just want to make sure when we're out, when we're making sure that we're getting all the properties and notifying them and making sure everyone knows, that's really important. Secondly, I know that we've received some emails and concerns about the alley loading restrictions, and I know there's folks in the audience that want to talk about that. And, you know, we've had notification about, you know, if a grease trap or something's getting cleaned out, they couldn't park there. Well, I think I think if it's occupied and someone is using it for delivery and dropping things off, I think this stems from just cars being left in the parking lot doing their deliveries and blocking access to some of these. So I wanted to make sure that we clarified a lot of that. I know Carl and I have worked a little bit on some of this stuff, and so I just wanted to make sure that that we were clear in why this is being passed. And moving forward, that 10 minutes is a good time. It allows still some of them to park there, run in, grab their delivery, go take it out, but you can't park there all day like it's been happening.
Any other discussion? If not,
Sure. I think the 10-minute restriction is what the police department has recommended, and they believe they can enforce that fairly. So
We're going to find out because it's been
Ongoing.
this has been going on
for at least 3 years. So
if not longer.
yeah. So
okay. So
I'll move 47 A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, 1 and 2. I probably won't waive the second and third reading just because there's so many on here for this time. So I'll move that as the first reading.
second.
there's been a moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 48 is amending Chapter 82 of the Municipal Code relating to the urban design review.
Discretionary with you.
Yeah, why don't you come on up? I'm sorry. We maybe didn't make it clear for the time to speak.
Comment the next time, that's fine.
Can I make a comment on it?
Or you can make it at our next one, because we're going to move it on to, if you want, go ahead.
Sure.
as long as you're-
My name's Jim Bowman. I am a resident at Soho at 400 East Locust. Good to see you, Jeff. I represent the homeowners association, and some of you know that we're in a major redevelopment of the courtyard, about a $2 million investment. And we've been some of the cause of the blockage of the alley during this construction period. But it will end. We're into phase 2. And with phase 2, and I will pass around for your view some renderings of what that courtyard is going to look like. But since I've lived there, before we started the construction project, that alley was constantly unavailable. In fact, I just left, and there's a car parked in it. You cannot get through it right now today. So I'm very happy to hear that we're going to have some limits on that and better policing. But until we're done with our construction project, there will be periods we have to shut that down. And I did speak to your traffic engineer, John Davis, and informed him of the complexity and some of the delays that we're going to have in terms of shutting that alleyway down. We're trying to make that very minimal. But there will be some times that we will shut it down, and I think we are reviewing the permit process.
Yeah, I don't think that's been the issue with, I know it's been some of the issue with blocking it, but I don't think that's been the main complaint that we've had for years.
Yeah.
I know when I represented the East Village, I dealt with it. I know Carl lives down there and deals with it. This has been an ongoing problem from one particular business. I think we all know what's happening there, and hopefully this fixes the problem.
Yeah, very good. John encouraged me to come in front of you, and
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll get it worked out.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So do you want to receive and file the,
Yep.
I'll move to receive and file and ask staff to work with the homeowners association to facilitate the renovations of their building without violating the new ordinance.
Second. You do a voice vote.
we can do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Westergaard votes yes.
Oh, we have another one who like,
Yeah, we have someone 47.
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, okay.
We came here and we just wanted to speak, and this is our manager and myself.
Okay, well, we'll let him speak, unless whoever wants to come up and speak. If you want to come up too, you have, what do we have, 2 minutes?
My name is Ahmed Merchant, and I.
You'll have to step to the,
I'm
so,
loud enough.
yeah. Yeah, they
People on
can't
TV
hear.
can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
The people on TV
So if
can't
you want
hear
to state your name and your address?
My working address, where the reason I'm here is the 422 East Village. My name is Ahmed Merchant. I am the franchisee of the Jimmy John. And this restrictions has really a serious effect on us because we have 4 or 5 employees that we pay their insurance, we pay their 401k, and they deliver. Since the downtown has become the ghost town, and hardly there is any business. We depend on delivery business, and these people are hired to do. We might end up doing away with them and come with the Uber or Dash Door, but the thing is, these people will be unemployed. And mostly, we are only there for 10 minutes. If there is a parking, we will be happy to lease it, and even if the council decide to allocate us a couple meters, we will be happy to pay. Our Cisco truck, who comes at least twice a week, cannot deliver in 10 minutes. So we will be in a violation of the rules and regulation. I do not want this to happen, so I just want you people to be aware of this situation. There are certain things that they are way out of control. The Cisco truck, the Coke truck, they comes in. I cannot put restriction on them for 10 minutes. You have to be out. And those drivers are very notorious. They will probably say, okay, then no delivery. And that is the matter of a business putting out of business of the downtown where all this bad thing is happening. This will be another addition. We have an option to go to Uber and DoorDash, but we will have to let those 4 or 5 people they have health insurance, they have a 401k, and the salary and support the family.
Okay, thank you. Your time is done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
May I speak on this matter?
Yes.
All right, I'm Mark. I'm the general manager. I just took it over a couple months ago. And in the past, our relationship with our neighbors from past managers have ran it into the ground and have been disrespectful. I'm trying to work with my neighbors and trying to get it more on a respect level. I have a picture, if you guys would like to see, on how I expect my drivers to park to where they're not blocking the alley. They're not impeding traffic at all. May I pass that picture around?
I'll make a motion to receive and file your picture.
All in favor?
Somebody's got to second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Westergaard is aye.
Motion carries.
If you look and you see, we're not blocking the flow of the traffic in the alley at all. And that is how my drivers park. The white car is a delivery car.
You can finish.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll just address some of your comments when you're done.
Okay. We're trying to work, like I said, with our neighbors. We're not trying to be disrespectful, and we're trying to keep business going at the same time. Our business has picked up, so therefore I have more drivers. You know what I'm saying? But we're still being respectful in our parking situation, and we just ask that you guys would consider it. You know, with the Cisco, like my franchisee was saying, with the Cisco, the Coke, Lafredo, with our deliveries. You know, because they can't do it in 10 minutes.
I appreciate your comments, and I believe that we wouldn't be in this position if maybe the owner and others could have stepped up earlier and dealt with some of your neighbors' issues, because this hasn't just been going on for 3 months. This has been going on for years, and we've had the same discussion over and over. So our only other option was to eliminate parking in the alley, and we didn't want to do that. So the police, I mean, they understand if Lafredo's is there, or Cisco's are there, Coke's there. They're not going to come issue a ticket to delivery trucks that are delivering your product. And, you know, trust me, I own a business. I understand what it takes to get it loaded and unloaded. And but the drivers have been the issue. And Carl and I and Josh, I'm sure, have heard the same complaints for years upon years. And so now it's just time for us. We've given enough opportunities for not you, because you've only been the general manager, but the owner and the franchise should have stepped up and made some changes so we didn't have to deal with the same complaints over and over and over again. So the only other option is to eliminate the parking, and then you would have to go buy parking spots for your driver to be able to pull up there. And I don't think none of us want to do that. So let's work on this. Hopefully your drivers will understand they can only be there for 10 minutes, and please don't block the alley. I appreciate the pictures, and hopefully if you're not the general manager there, the owner will make sure the next general manager will do the same thing. But for now,
Okay.
we've moved the second reading, and
And we'll be bringing it back.
there'll be
We're
another-
going to bring it back, but so there, because I live in the neighborhood, I know a lot of deliveries are made early in the morning. Some are made on Locust Street, so I think there are other options. But this has been, I think this is our best alternative. And I think your drivers will need to find other places to park. Maybe when the blood center vacates the spot, there'll be options that your drivers can park over the blood center lot temporarily until that is redeveloped. But I'm afraid you're going to have to find other options.
So we'll be bringing this back at our next meeting, and we can have further discussion at that time. The next item, going back to item 48, is amending Chapter 82 of the Municipal Code relating to the Urban Design Review Board, Council Communication Number 24-125. Is there anyone wishing to speak? If not, if there's any discussion?
I'll move item 48.
Is there a second?
And pursuant to Rule 42A, I will waive the second and third reading.
It has been, please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 49, amending Chapter 58 of the Municipal Code relating to the elimination of the Landmark Review Board and providing various functions and services under the Historic Preservation Commission and the Development Services Department. Council Communication Number 24-124. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this item? If not,
I would be pleased to move 49 and subject to Rule 42A, the second and third readings, and also thanks to Cody and his staff for bringing 3 of these important development changes forward. So,
Absolutely. I'll second that.
then moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 50 is amending Chapters 134 and 135 of Municipal Code relating to expedited Type 2 design alternatives review, value determinations, Type 1 design alternatives, Type 2 design alternatives, and large-scale development requirements. Council Communication Number 24-123. Is there anyone wishing to speak?
I think she wants to. I think Carol wants to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. They can, if you want to speak to it.
It's
And it's
fine.
council and everybody else?
Sure.
Okay.
Wasn't sure if we were allowed to speak.
Not, well, we will on this one. This is a pretty major,
Okay, thank you.
it's our discretion.
I'm sure you're sick of me.
It's our group.
But I'll go fast. Thank you. I don't need that time at the end then because I was going to talk to them. Okay. Mayor Bozen, members of City Council, my name is Carol Maher. I live in Ward 3, zip code 50312. I'm here to address item number 50, your approval of changes to the zoning code in chapters 134 and 135. At a recent plan and zoning work session, these changes were presented by the Director of Development Services. He said that 25 meetings were held with developers since the fall of 2023, and these meetings resulted in the subsequent changes here for your approval tonight. I'm sure the development community is thrilled with the opportunity to be heard and have their needs addressed, and I'm in favor of any changes that speed up the process and eliminate any unnecessary Type 2 exceptions, which many of these changes do. But I'm disappointed on 2 fronts. Number 1, rather than bringing these changes to the council for a work session, they were presented where they could be presented and council members could ask questions and provide feedback. Council members were met with individually, thus avoiding the need to meet the Open Meetings Act requirements. This is unsettling to me, especially with the amount of money developers have contributed to council members in the past and in the special election tomorrow. While I'm not suggesting any shenanigans here, I hope that next time you'll make these decisions with a little more sunshine. Number 2, I'm also disappointed that the zoning changes are, that if zoning changes are being made, why you didn't address the changes you have already approved as part of the ADAPT DSM Climate Action Plan. If you refer to Appendix D of the plan, which I had back there and was going to hold up, more than 15 items addressed code changes that should be made to keep us on track with our climate goals. These changes were already researched, vetted, and approved across the whole of government. Why weren't they tackled first? We are Des Moines, the capital city, the largest in our state. We should be bold and precedent-setting.
Your Honor, I'll
Thank
move
you.
50, and pursuant to Rule 42A, I'll waive the second and third reading. Thanks to Cody for bringing a lot of these changes up. They're really good, and we waited a long time for them.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. Item 51, amending Chapter 42 of the Municipal Code relating to the enforcement of nuisance vegetation management, Council Communication Number 24-108. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move item 51 pursuant to Rule.
I'd appreciate an opportunity to comment on this
absolutely.
before
That's okay.
there's
Okay,
a
why
motion.
don't you go ahead?
Go ahead.
So we had a work session on this, and I have a couple concerns. One, we talked about at the work session, and folks had an opportunity to voice their opinion. I'll just say, I would rather we be one of the communities at 12 inches rather than 10 inches. I think 10 is too restrictive or unnecessarily restrictive. And given our enforcement capacity, I think it will end up being somewhat arbitrarily enforced depending on complaints and neighbor disputes. But the other piece that I'm hoping, and I recognize that, and I think that the 10 inches reflects what others gave feedback on. So if folks are willing to revisit it, great. But the piece that I was hoping to revisit was something we did not discuss at the work session. And I looked at the definition of weeds, and I thought it was pretty broad, and there were 4 different pieces to that, and I was hoping we could revisit that and get something that was more narrowly tailored to what we're trying to accomplish there. I look at that, and I don't know how there are 4 pieces to the definition, and one of them is any plant which is not intentionally cultivated. And the significance of this is you're not supposed to have any weeds on your property according to this ordinance. And I'll give just an example. We have a bunch of bluebells in our yard now. We didn't intentionally cultivate them. They blew in from a neighbor's yard. They're throughout the yard. They're not intentionally cultivated. Technically, under this ordinance, they'd be a weed, and if someone complained, we'd have to figure out how to remove them all from our yard. And I mean, we like the bluebells. We like the fact that they're there, but we didn't intentionally do that. I think this idea that any plant that's not intentionally cultivated, or the second piece, anything that's unsightly and economically useless, I think those are broad and will lead to arbitrary enforcement. I think we can accomplish what we want with the other 2 prongs of the definition, where it says any undesirable or noxious plant is defined in Iowa Code Chapter 317 and any related regulations found in Iowa Administrative Code. And the 4th one, any plant which constitutes a hazard. So I'd prefer that we narrow that definition if others are open to discussing that.
I'll open it up to others to discuss.
So Josh, could we do the first reading and come back and do the second and third with more discussion and more preparation?
That would be fine
so
by
that
me.
would be on 2 fronts, the length of tall grass and
And the modification of the language. More clarity on the weeds.
So,
I mean, when I looked at the code, I was probably one of them that wanted to be a little bit more rigorous and not have it go longer, because by the time they get out there and do it, then it becomes not 12 inches. It's more like 15 or 16 inches because of, so if we make it 12, then we're looking at, I mean, it could be a foot and a half. And so that's where the neighbors are not going to like it. And so I wouldn't want to change that. I guess I would, I think it would be fair to look at the definition. I guess I was fine with the definition, but if you want to take a look at that, I'm happy to take a look at it. But as far as the length goes, when I seen this, I was like, yeah, I would have rather had it than 6 inches, like some of the other communities that was laid out here. But I think we compromised it. And
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm just one. So
I want to make sure that the intentional, I want to make sure that if somebody claims they intentionally did it, that it wasn't automatically acceptable either. So I like, the opposite isn't good either, so I want to make sure that whatever change we make to the weed definition does not create more problems for us because, it's in the eye of the beholder.
And so I think Polk County did not consider poison ivy as a weed. That's, yes, nod your head, yes, it's not a weed, so, I mean, you can't
I
enforce
can't breathe
on,
that stuff and I start.
on poison ivy. So,
I mean, I think under
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 that last
3
part,
and 4, it would
It
like,
would cover.
poison ivy would likely be captured. I just,
So basically, you're asking to, if we move it, this will come back, and then we can get more clarity on the weed definition. I'm not for going higher on the grass, but,
right, and I tried to
Okay.
acknowledge
okay.
that
Yeah.
was covered, and I wasn't asking,
It's more
I
the
was making
definition.
I was making my feelings on that known for the record, but I thought that the 10 inches reflected the discussion of the work session, and that's fair. I was hoping that we would address the piece that I don't think we talked about at the work session, which
With
is
the
the
definition.
definition,
Okay.
and that seems overly broad to me.
what's a weed, though?
We're going to get in the weeds, right?
In the weeds, really. So we have a motion
I'll just move item 51 for the first reading.
and
Second.
there's been moved and seconded.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. That ends our regular item. I think I forgot to tell the time of the hearings. Did you get that? Thank you. Okay, our next item is our request to speak. We provide speakers under the public speaking portion the opportunity to address the council for up to 3 minutes each, for up to 20 speakers for a total of 1 hour. Speakers will be called forward individually, and we ask everyone to please state their name, address, or ward prior to providing comments. Please keep comments germane and avoid references to personalities or character attacks, as those types of comments do not contribute to the purpose for which this public forum exists. With that, another part of it, as a reminder to the council and the public, this public speaking time is not a time for council to engage in discussion. It is our obligation to discuss only matters posted on the public agenda. Matters requiring attention will receive appropriate staff or council follow-up at a time after the meeting. And thank you for your support of Des Moines. The first speaker is Aaron Stacy Roberts. Is Aaron. Moving on to Adam Callanan.
Hello, my name is Adam Callanan. I live in Ward 3. I'm here to talk about 2 things today. First up, virtual access. The city should offer virtual hybrid meeting participation so that more Des Moines residents can participate in the local government and have their voices heard. We routinely have city council members participate remotely, including today, and the public should have the same level of access to participate in these meetings. We're a better city, a stronger city when more voices are heard. Also want to talk about DART. Today, March 18th, is Transit Driver Appreciation Day. I'd like to thank the DART staff that makes our system work, keeps our buses running. And with that in mind, the city should fully fund DART with a 2.5 franchise fee. Without fully funding DART, staff will face layoffs. At the start of today's meeting, the mayor spoke in favor of airport expansion and encouraged residents to take more flights. The city should be speaking the same way about transit, public transit, encouraging residents to ride the bus and showing excitement for things like expansions. Thank you.
Jean O'Donnell.
Good evening. My name is Jean O'Donnell, and I live in Ward 3, and I am a proud member of Iowa CCI and the work we do to fight for equal justice for all Des Moines residents. One of my favorite things to do is read, and recently, I didn't bring the book, but I might send you the link to Amazon, because I think we all need, it's a little book, and there's even a graphic novel edition of it. It's called On Tyranny. Some of you may be familiar with it, I hope. And in that book, he's a historian, and he writes about other historical periods when authoritarianism was starting to take hold. And I believe we're in one of those periods right now. In my younger adult years, I didn't think that could happen. I, and probably most of my peers, which includes most of you up here in terms of age and skin color, believed that our American experiment in democracy would continue and improve. Continual progress. Timothy Snyder, the historian who authored the book On Tyranny, calls it the politics of inevitability. I took my freedom and liberties for granted. During this collective coma we've all been in, dictatorial forces have been building their power, and only recently have we realized the peril, at least some of us, our democracy is in. We must wake up. If that is what woke is, it is something I aspire to. What does this have to do with Des Moines city government? A lot. Our state government is part of this movement, and they are showing us what the whole country might become. One of their authoritarian moves is to make the Home Rule Amendment to our state constitution meaningless. They are dictating to cities what they can and can't do without its residents even having a say in the matter. They threaten us with having our state funds cut off if we resist. You all should be outraged about this. I am. SF 2325 is just the latest of these preemption laws. Banning community review boards is what that's about. And since we've been working to get data collection being an important part of police accountability, I would not be surprised if next year they banned data collection on the part of cities. Now, I don't maybe know what I'm talking about, how all this works, but on the surface, this is the way it's looking to me. And I find it particularly galling that this bill was portrayed as protecting the police, when they already have so many protections in our state code. The Law Enforcement Bill of Rights, the Back the Blue Bill, which includes the big one, qualified immunity. This allows our police force to become an enforcer within the state laws that only a minority want. I'm going to finish. The only protection we will have is to put our hope in our city leaders and police chiefs.
Jean, thank you.
That they will refuse to go along. You can drag me out of here.
We're not going to drag you out. You can submit your comments and we'll be glad to read them.
Yes.
So I will call up David Joyner.
Think about home rule and stand up for our city and fight for it.
Thank you. David Joyner.
Thank you all. My name is David Joyner. I'm not sure which ward I live in. I'm pretty new to this area, but we live over by the Drake and Roosevelt neighborhood. I'm here to talk about Greenwood Pond, kind of a hot topic lately. I collected my thoughts and just wrote them, so I'll just read it out. Greenwood Pond Double Site is a nationally and internationally recognized work of art that is revered and respected by foundations, collegiate institutions, and art communities around the world. It is extremely important to understand the value that this piece of art holds, both to Des Moines community as well as communities afar. Agnes Gund is a billionaire, philanthropist, and art patron in the New York area who voiced her opinion about the proposed demolition of Greenwood Pond Double Site. Here's a quote from her letter that she wrote to the Art Center. Please add my name to the chorus of concerned people writing to request that you and the Des Moines Arts Center Board reverse your decision to tear down Mary Mrs. Greenwood Pond Double Site. The museum has made a commitment to the artist and to this iconic artwork. Destroying it will have an extremely negative consequence to the museum and its boards. The reputations that will be damaged following the destruction of this art installation will not be isolated just to the Art Center and those who run it, but be certain that the reputations of our city and the reputations of those who run Des Moines will also suffer. The mere idea of destroying art is an embarrassment to our great city. Being known as a city that destroys world-famous art, and in particular women's art, will lead Des Moines down a path that causes future artists to pass on any opportunity to have an installation in this city. This brings the question, what does Des Moines have to offer its people? I moved here from Seattle. Out there in Seattle, we have mountains to hike in, the Puget Sound to kayak and sail in, and the Pacific Ocean for weekend trips to the beach. There is an overabundance of outdoor activities one can engage in. So I asked myself, what are Des Moines mountains? Where are Des Moines beaches? Grays Lake, Greenwood Pond. Iowans look to city leaders to provide us with recreational opportunities that we otherwise do not have because of our geographical location. Council needs to look at this situation as an opportunity to do two things. Save Des Moines' most treasured park for its people and to stand up for women artists and the international art community. This is our simple choice: to champion women and the arts and to preserve a historic park, or to be apathetic and allow Des Moines to become a stigma in the art community. And if Des Moines plans to build something at Greenwood Pond anyway after they tear this out, why not just save time, money, and resources by restoring what we already have instead of starting from scratch? No one wins by destroying this work of art. In fact, everyone loses. The world loses a renowned work of landscape art. The city loses its reputation for being stewards of art. Colleges lose an example to show their students. Women lose a landmark for female artists. The community loses a beloved park. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Viola Perry.
Mayor, council members, Viola Perry, 50310 Ward 1, CCI Racial Justice Team. The CRB, or Community Review Board, is what we, the CCI Racial Justice Team, has worked on with some of you council members outside of council meetings for about 2 years. Let me be clear about the CRB. It is to hold officers who have a history of repeated misconduct to be held accountable, and for DMPD to be transparent. Now look, we understand the narrative that's being sold as an attack on the police. No, it's further from the truth. Again, it means to hold the officers accountable for repeated misconduct. If you would really take a look at the big picture, a CRB could have improved our police and community relations. A CRB is also about public safety, which was talked about in the last election for many that ran. A CRB is about public safety for our city residents, and having community oversight would help ensure that all residents are treated in a fair and equal manner. I leave you with this. In November, we, CCI Racial Justice Team, informed you that 2024 marks 7 years of fighting for what is needed and citizens deserve in Des Moines. Let me give you a quick reminder. A community review board, data collection and transparency, community engagement. All of these have been supported by 2 outside consultants, Public Works, LLC, and 21st Century Policing, whom you hired for a hefty price. CCI still expects this year to be a year of completion on everything we've been working for. Now, how do you plan to make that happen?
Thank you. Harvey Harrison.
I'm going to stick this on the scanner. I'm going to put that on the scanner. Good evening. Harvey Harrison. I live in Ward 3. This afternoon I've given you a copy of this newly released first volume of The People's History, which is a study of the summer of the 2020 protests in Des Moines, published by Just Voices. What you see on your screen is a release we're going to make that includes a QR code and the URL for people who want to access this report online. The report contains a series of interviews with people who have participated in the protests and experienced firsthand the violence inflicted by the police upon people exercising their First Amendment rights to challenge the 400-year history of racial oppression in this country, as reflected in the murder of George Floyd. This report was prepared because the Des Moines Police Department, supported by this council, refused to prepare an after-action review of police conduct during the protests, something that was demanded by the community and recommended by the U.S. Department of Justice, 21 CP Solutions, and others. Perhaps Dana Wingert and the council were afraid to do such an investigation. Perhaps because Dana Wingert had turned loose his dogs of war on citizens exercising their constitutional right to protest. Perhaps because the department's crowd control policies were woefully out of date and it left the police department unprepared for the protests. Perhaps because the police engaged in wrongful mass arrests and ended up with almost all criminal charges being dismissed. Perhaps because of how the police willfully and wrongfully used violence as a tool for crowd control. Is that why Dana Wingert and this council have refused to insist on complete transparency and the production of documents related to the protests and full accountability for officers who committed the wrongful acts? Dana Wingert and all of you sitting at this council table should be embarrassed and ashamed by the police conduct during the protests. You're giving cover and comfort to the bad actors in the Des Moines Police Department who used violence and hatred against lawful protesters. You have inspired them, and you've discouraged, in the same instance, those officers, the majority, who are attempting to be good cops and who actually are set out to preserve and protect the citizens of this community. I hope you read this report, and it's time for you to do better.
Thank you. Peggy Fitch?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and attendees. Peggy Fitch, Ward 3, zip code 50311, and I'm also part of the racial justice team. So I'm speaking against SF 2325. One of my colleagues already made reference to that. This is the bill advancing in the Iowa legislature that would prohibit cities with civil service commissions from establishing a board or entity for the purpose of citizen review of the conduct of police officers and make changes to rules for civil service commissions. So we were encouraged that lobbyists for the city of Des Moines and the city and Iowa City submitted declarations against SF 2325 on February 15th. That was encouraging. We'd like to hear more about their specific objections to the bill. That could be for a number of reasons, but we were encouraged to see that. So one of the questions that we have for you is, what is the council's position on SF 2325? And what are you doing to help stop what we, the racial justice team, and others see as an injustice if SF 2325 becomes law? So some of my colleagues mentioned a few of the other things that I will also make as points to support are encouraging you to work against SF 2325. So one, after several years of advocacy, Viola Perry mentioned that, the council hired 2 outside consultants to review the Des Moines Police Department's practices, policies, procedures, culture, and data tracking. And both groups produced comprehensive reports, and yes, I've read these, that recommended establishing a community review board. Both of them, some form of community review board and community engagement. And the city paid over $330,000 for the work that those consultants did. So that's an investment. That's an important investment. As a reminder, authentic engagement with the community is the foundation of public safety. And I know that's something many of you ran on, you've spoken about, and care about deeply. So, and it's a priority, clearly. So what better way to do this than through an effective community review board? The other piece, the other argument for, again, working against SF 2325 is, since 2018, the city of Des Moines has paid over $1,920,000 to settle 5 lawsuits that community members had against Des Moines police officers for various abuses of power. And some of these officers, as we have heard, have had multiple complaints or been disciplined over and over. So
Thank you for your time. Carol Maher? You already, okay. So with that,
I'll move item 52A through H. Receive and file the comments.
okay, is there a second? Please vote.
Westergaard votes yes.
6 yes.
Motion carries. At this time, the meeting for March 18th is adjourned.